Kart, the Mushroom Kingdom's favorite pastime. A colorful raceway where your wildest dreams can come true. Wait, do we have permits to block off these streets? Who paid to build this space station? Do these cows get union rights? Hi, I'm Winter, but you can call me Brian David Gilbert if you ordered him off Temu. And I'm here to ask you one thing. Mario Kart racing? In this economy? Surely all these fans buying tickets, the attention given to tourist attractions across the globe, and these massive spectacle events belovedly broadcast worldwide do wonders for the economy, right? I wanted to know, so I decided to ask an expert in the field. It's me. I am the expert. And it's actually kind of complicated to answer. First, we need to quickly establish what an economy is, what makes a good one, and what makes a bad one. Then we'll figure out which maps are the best and worst for the economy. Then we'll know if Mario Kart tracks in totality are good or bad, and if they're bad for the economy, I'm going to execute Mario for the sake of our taxes. Can somebody check on these kids? Are they all right? So, what makes a good economy? I'll explain in less than 60 seconds. Basically, an economy is thriving if, oh God, this is boring already. Here, I'll make it easier for you to pay attention. An economy thrives when resources are plentiful and goods are being produced by laboring workers. An economy is improved if more people are being productive, like doing labor and making goods. Hey, jingle jingle, pay attention. Their incentive to do this labor can be different reasons, but in modern day capitalism, they do these things because they're paid money in exchange for their goods or labor. So, more money entering a local economy or a rise in working adults willing to labor boosts productivity. You don't even technically need money if everyone just agrees to help each other out, but that comes with complications, so pretending money has value makes it a lot easier. Money itself is actually completely worthless in a vacuum. It's basically just an IOU that gets passed around so everyone is incentivized to make more goods and do more work. I'm proud of you for getting through that, bud. Because we're seeing if these maps are good or bad for their local economies, ideally a good map would allow money to circulate locally, boosting business for the locals and putting money in the pockets of said locals, not major corporations. We're trying to get money in the hands of the people here, so it raises up the working class. We here in the Mushroom Kingdom are not putting money in the hands of billionaires, right, Luigi?
Bang, bang.
We'll judge if an economy is harmed by Mario Kart tracks if they disrupt the locals' ability to work, cause unemployment, or don't provide any revenue to the local populace. If the money spent on a sporting event isn't invested in the local area, what's the point? Because that's how it is in real life. All right, it's time to get into the maps themselves. We're going to only use the most recent game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's maps, since we can assume all previous maps not in the most recent game are retired courses or demolished stadiums. This leaves us with 96 maps to evaluate, so let's start by establishing baseline pros and cons that apply to all 96 maps we'll be evaluating. For one, there's the cost of the carts, and then there's the salary of the racers, the cost of the gas and maintenance, and the cost of mystery box items left on the tracks to be used in these races. However, we don't need to calculate any of these things, because they're not bought locally. From the presence of clearly established Mario Kart sponsors like Bowser Oil and Lemmy's Tire Service, we know that corporations and the Society of Kart Racing via Mario Paths, or SCRIMP for short, source their parts from big-name brands, not local kart shops. We also know that the tracks themselves are mostly paid for by taxpayers, despite being privately owned by billionaires like Wario and Princess Peach, just like in the real world. Isn't that neat? To score each track, we're going to base it on 4 qualities. How many jobs does the track create? How many expenses go into the track's initial build and maintenance? How much tourism does the track draw in? And lastly, its source. Where does the revenue even come from, and how much is generated for the local economy? Is it new money, or is it just the substitution effect? Jobs, expenses, tourism, and source. These spell a handy acronym for us to remember. EDGETS. Each track will get a score on each category from 0 to 10, which will tell us what tracks are good for the economy and what tracks are bad. Let's get into it. Let's start off by just getting rid of all the super boring maps. All of these maps scored average or a little below average, indicating they're not particularly bad for the economy, but definitely aren't good. You might see some of these maps again later in the video, but their scores haven't changed. I just might bring some of them up to highlight similarities to other maps, which, speaking of, I want to highlight a certain type of mid-map before I move on. Stadiums. Now you may think that stadiums would be really good for the economy because so many people buy tickets, but that's where the substitution effect comes in. The substitution effect is when a consumer buys something cheaper to replace something that's grown expensive. Most stadiums are incredibly expensive to build and are mostly funded by taxpayers, and then those same taxpayers don't get to go to the stadium for free. Most of the money spent at a stadium event gets pocketed by the organizer, and the money consumers spend on stadium goods and the events taking place in them would often have just been spent elsewhere on other forms of entertainment entertainment. So stadiums don't really have an economic impact that justifies the price of building them. Stadiums do create jobs though, to build, maintain, and to work as vendors and such, so overall they're just kinda mid. Now let's talk about the kind of bad maps, the ones where they're not causing that much damage, but they still do universally suck, kinda like buffering. Starting off with Wild Woods, this should be a mid-map, but it bulldozes and runs through an indigenous village and historical ruins, which this will not be the last map to do this. Sunset Wilds, Cheese Land, and Dry Bones Dunes, wow, that's hard to say, are all kinda like Burning Man, where they're in the middle of the desert, except a bunch of rich kids are traveling to them to pretend they have problems, so no, I guess they are kinda just Burning Man. While I'm at it, let's list all the maps that are just in the middle of nowhere for no reason. At best, some of them might benefit hotels in the closest towns to them, and some of them even attract some tourism, but at the end of the day, they're all just boring, so let's move on. At least they're cheap to build though. Oh, you might think that these super remote maps aren't taxpayer funded, but we have to remember that these countries are almost all kingdoms under monarchy or dictatorship, and that the reigning royals have a major stake in Mario Kart. With no oversight, they're free to abuse their funds and make middle of nowhere tracks on cheap property value using taxpayer money, and then make bank on televised views of MKTV. You people need to wake up! Piranha Plant Cove employs thwomps. We love to see a diversity initiative. Lots of underwater maintenance though, and that can be expensive. Royal Raceway, Merry Mountain, and Mute City all are boring, so here's their scores. Dragon Driftway is in China, so it's statistically likely to be owned by the government, not a private investor. Because of this, it scores more forgivingly, despite being expensive, since the money doesn't go to billionaires, it goes to the government, which is then used to fund healthcare and public infrastructure. However, it's also China, so these funds can go to some more dubious purposes. So I'm on the fence about it, and I'm not nearly qualified enough to debate this yet, so let's just score it below average. Sky High Sunday and Koopa City block off the streets, but they got the proper permits to do so. They mostly are just inconvenient, but at least they're pretty. Maple Treeway, Sky Garden, Dolphin Shoals, and the N64 DK Jungle all require a ton of gardeners and landscapers, and that's expensive, but at least it's creating jobs. In Shroom Ridge and Moonview Highway, there are live cars and buses on the track. These racers are illegally hijacking a road. Wait a minute, there's no off-ramp anywhere. What the hell is happening here? Is this driver purgatory? Oh God, is this where all the drivers who don't use their turn signals and all the people who blue shell on lap 3 go when they die? Maybe they're stuck in an infinite loop and we are contracted by hell and are prolonging their suffering. Oh, well, I mean, I guess they could just be hired to be here. And I guess in that case, good job on employment. These would probably score better if they weren't in the middle of nowhere. However, the same can't be said for DK Snowboard Crossing, where there are unprotected snowboarders on the track, which means lawsuits and killed laborers, so it loses points there. There are a lot of new sponsors for this map though, like Super Marine World Dive Shop and Burning Dick Sports Drink. Burning Dick Sports Drink. Call your doctor to tell them it burns so good. While on the topic of ski resorts, at Mount Wario, we watch a billionaire drive a cart through a hydroelectric dam that powers his own resort. Well, I mean, I guess he does own it, but Yoshi's Island is a pretty economical track, but MKTV unfortunately hates Yoshi's popularity, so they don't televise it as much, which makes it not as popular for tourists, so not a lot of money is generated for the locals due to spite from mass media. Daisy Cruisers, where Daisy asks the question, can I build a mega yacht with taxpayer money if I play it off as a Mario Kart track? We know it's taxpayer money because she flies the Mushroom Kingdom flags, despite being the princess of Sarasa Land. She does this because by flying the Mushroom Kingdom flag, she gets to benefit from Peach's lenient tax policy for the wealthy. During the race, they drive through the pool and dining hall, hitting and killing civilians, but unfortunately, the civilians did sign a waiver that they can't sue if they voluntarily get on the yacht, so no lawsuits there. Choco Mountain is sponsored by Shy Guy Metals, and as part of their sponsorship deal, they drive straight through the heart of their mining operation. They may race in it, but they don't repair any of the infrastructure for it, because Nintendo loves to prey on miners. Please don't sue me, Nintendo. Okay, this is taking way too long. Clearly, there's a lot of bad maps, so let's speedrun the rest in this category. Yoshi Valley donates to conservation. Unfortunately, it runs straight through the sanctuary it donates to. Piranha Plant Pipeway is mostly repurposed infrastructure, which is irresponsible, but it does cut costs. Mario Circuit GBA and Mario Circuit DS exist. Daisy Circuit, wait, this is just how she departs from her yacht. I'm not even sure if this course is sanctioned, but I don't care. Dry Desert is what will happen when Mr. Beast rents out the pyramids. Ninja Hideaway, they just kind of rented a royal palace for this one, and that's gotta be hard to maintain. Twisted Mansion and Boo Lake both are built on King Boo's home, but I mean, he's dead, so Luigi probably bought them. Only ghosts work the track, so they produce 0 jobs, but there's also no maintenance costs since they don't repair anything ever. Thwomp Ruins is just rich people desecrating an ancient ruin and pestering its indigenous inhabitants. again. And finally, there are so many maps that are just tours of real-world cities, and they vary massively in their impact. Here's a list of the real-world city maps that don't have insanely bad or good economic impact, so that's why there's a few not listed. Some of the maps, like Paris and London, closed down their streets like for a parade, but Berlin forgot to shut down its trains, so yikes. But at least they're mostly avoided and the streets are still walkable. Sydney, Madrid, Vancouver, and Rome all have civilians standing on the side of the raceway with no guardrails, and Vancouver even has ice skaters on the track, and I don't think they signed up for that. Oh God, did they sign up for that? Los Angeles finally got to show off why there's so many high-speed chases there, and lastly, as a New Yorker, New York Minute is normal and happens all the time, so that's fine. Most of these civilians on the track and in the park kinda wanna get hit. If they survive, then at least the lawsuit will pay rent for a couple of months. Okay, it's time to talk about the slightly good maps that aren't in the top 10. Starting off, we have... There's gotta be a mistake. Let me check my notes. No, this is all accurate. So apparently there's no maps that scored above a 20 that aren't already in the top 10, so shit. I should probably save the top 10 for last, so here are the top 20 worst maps in Mario Kart. For the economy, I mean. Please don't hurt me, Mario Kart fans. Coming in at 20 and 19 are Big Blue and Tick-Tock Clock. The absolute fleet of engineers required to construct and repair damages to these tracks is astounding. I don't even want to try to calculate that. In 18, 17, and 16, respectively, are Bangkok Rush, Athens Dash, and Singapore Speedway. Bangkok Rush has no indication there's a race going on, even when running through marketplaces and residential areas, and I don't even want to begin to calculate the repair costs for throwing bombs in the Parthenon, so Athens Dash is super expensive, but Singapore Speedway is something else. Just imagine, you've saved up for years to visit Singapore with friends, and you book a room at the Marina Bay Sands, and then your buddy Michael says, hey guys, we should hit the pool, and you're relaxing when Michael's fucking gone, man, he's gone. Jeff Bezos in a car with a hang glider decided to blow through the pool and took out Michael going 130 miles an hour. This is why the map is so low ranked. DK Mountain is 15. Sorry, I'm still thinking about the last map. Anyway, Dick Mountain is burning at the tip, so I may not know where Donkey Kong pees, but I do think I know the color. 14 is Calamari Desert. It's in the middle of nowhere, plus they hit a train, so that's a lot of labor casualties. Hopefully in the 13th spot, Wario's Gold Mine, they give hazard pay to the workers because they're racing during a workday in an active mine, and that can't be good for productivity and lawsuits. I chose Melody Motorway for number 12 since it's in space, but at least it creates a ton of jobs for these abomination music note creatures they've hired. Honestly though, this map might be a fever dream, so I don't even know if it's real. I half feel like this map is a hallucination and you guys are seeing a black screen behind me. I'm not, right? You guys can see these things too, right? Next up at number 11 is Shy Guy Falls. Man, hope somebody caught him. Finally, we arrive at the bottom 10. At the 10th spot, we have Toad Harbor, which is full of sponsors and for some reason multiple of the same cafe franchise on the same corner. But the main problem is the live trams and the very few protections for the pedestrians. Cloudtop Cruise proves that BlackRock won't stop at anything to gentrify everything, even Jack's Beanstalk. We know that Propeller Toad Transport, Galaxy Air, and Boomerang Bros International Airlines all sponsor Mario Kart, but do I really have to explain why racing high-speed vehicles into a moving plane in Sunshine Airport was a bad idea? For Grumble Volcano, the hazard pay for working in a magma field with an active stratovolcano has got to be through the roof expensive. Like, the sheer number of workers' comp claims has to be insane. Number 6 is Toad's Turnpike. They just hijacked a highway. This isn't a sporting event. This is domestic terrorism. Before I go on to the worst 5 tracks in Mario Kart, let's do the top 10 best maps, because we all know that the worst maps will make a much more fun finale. Before I get into the best maps, though, I just want a real quick shout out commenter Will Lovendall2309 for giving me the inspiration for this video. What a stupid idea. I love it so much with all my heart. And if any of you guys have video ideas, please do let me know. I'll cover basically any game, series, show, or whatever I find entertaining. Also, you may notice that multiple maps in the top and bottom 10 have tied scores, but aren't tied in their placement. The metric for scoring in the event of a tie is simple. They're ranked where they are because I fucking said so. I made it up, and my reasons are completely arbitrary biases, and I hope that helps. Coming in at number 10 for the best maps, we have Ice Ice Outpost with a score of 21. I told you they're just slightly better than awful, and that's enough to crack the top 10. Ice Ice Outpost are part of the Toad Polar Expedition of 2014 to 2015, and the Outpost bears many Mario Kart sponsor logos like Morton Construction, Organic Antifreeze, MKTV, and Propeller Toad Transport. It even appears to have oil drills, which means this place was built by the Bowser Oil Company and got converted into a track. This is fully privately owned, so it's not taxpayer funded, and that's what saves it. Impact to the ecosystem aside, Cheap Cheap Beach does generate money for an area that would otherwise have very little to export other than fish. It's also very inexpensive to maintain since it's mostly just the natural environment, and what could capitalism possibly do to harm the environment? Tokyo Blur is the only city from our world that employs foreign thwomps, so good for them, honestly. Also, all businesses are still available to access roadside, and proper protections are put up, so it attracts a lot of tourism. Honestly, good job, Japan. Water Park is owned by Wario, and holy shit, it's reckless, but at least the guests signed waivers, so when Little Billy gets beamed by a turtle oil baron going 100 miles an hour through a teacup ride, it's kinda his fault when you think about it. Animal Crossing is a really unique track in that it's inexpensive to maintain, uses public infrastructure, and generates revenue for the locals who are all deeply in debt to Tom Nook. It also brings attention to the island's real estate, which is something that the locals really wanted to happen. And most importantly of all, it gives the unemployed losers on the island something to do for work maintaining the track, so good for them. They can stop hiding bodies or whatever they do for fun. At number 5 is Electrodome. It's an amusement park resort surrounded by hotel rooms, and amusement parks are extremely good for the economy, but this course is very expensive to maintain and build compared to a normal amusement park. For number 4, we have the only positively scoring circuit track, and that's Yoshi's Circuit. Yoshi has once again used his money to build a self-sustainable island community and created jobs for the locals. The track itself is a normal functioning road that just gets blocked off during races, so it is genuine utility to taxpayers and gets covered by the Mario Kart road maintenance. Great job, Yoshi. We love you. Good to see someone find success and still give back to their community. Just cracking the top 3 is Moo Moo Meadows. These cows didn't sign a waiver to be here, and if Monty Mole has the right to Mario Party, Cory Cow has the right to unionize. However, this deal has been massive for the tourism of the local town, and it's brought a lot of money into the surrounding farms in exchange for endangering their livestock. When the cows unionize, it'll only get better. Just shy of first, we have a tie between Ribbon Road and Squeaky Clean Sprint. You may be asking how these maps could possibly be good for the economy, and in fact score so high they get second place? It's simple. They're not real. These maps take place in a child's imagination, and that child was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's right, these tracks directly contributed to his ideas to race America into a new tomorrow, also known as World War II. The background slogan of Ribbon Road, Build and Play, inspired his New Deal and his massive reforms to the social contract of foreign relations. Truly, we have Ribbon Road to thank for ending America's Great Depression, and Squeaky Clean Sprint too, but unfortunately I have to rank Squeaky Clean a little bit above Ribbon Road in their tie, because unfortunately it also was the Jack in the Boxes on Ribbon Road that made FDR racist, so that sucks. And finally, it's time to reveal the best Mario Kart track for the economy in all of Mario Kart. With a score of 33, the winner is the one, the only, Baby Park! I mean, what is there to even say? It's simple, it's compact, it has safety protections, it generates tourism, and more importantly, it's not a solo feature. Theme parks are fantastic for the economy, and Baby Park is surrounded by a wonderful amusement park. If only it were in a major city, it could have gotten maybe even a perfect 40, but for now, it's good enough. Now, as we all know, every good top needs its bottom, so here's the conclusive, data-driven top 5 worst Mario Kart tracks for the economy. Just barely cracking the top 5 is Super Bell Subway. We have enough worries in NYC already. We don't need go-karts slamming into every train. At number 4 is Coconut Mall. No foot traffic means they just took over the space, and commandeering the mall for the day disturbs so many jobs for basically no benefit. There's also Shy Guys doing donuts in the parking lot, so I assume they were hired to be there, but maybe they're just fans that got bored. Both versions of Bowser's Castle are monstrous in construction cost. He's an authoritarian dictator, so every aspect of his castle was made using taxpayer money. The energy bill to maintain the fire constructs and all of the lava must be ridiculous, and most of the workers are members of his military, so that's technically a job, but it's probably unpaid. Number 2 is Waluigi Pinball. Holy shit, the Waluigi and Wario brothers are insanely wealthy. This is a full pinball-themed casino space station. The electric electric bill must be unreal, and supplying the space station must be a complete drain on taxpayers. At least they create jobs, though? A negative expense score. And now, the worst map in all of Mario Kart economics. You had to have seen this coming. It's Rainbow Road. While the SNES version is only in the lower atmosphere and employs a lot of thwomps, the vast majority of these maps are in space. Shuttling material into space for every routine maintenance on a high-speed race is astronomical expense. The SNES version shows that these maps appear to be sponsored by Rexa, the Rainbow Exploration Agency, so you've gotta wonder how and why they built the 3DS map deep in the vacuum of space, far from any planet. The entire map appears to be made of otherworldly Halo light bridge energy, which must be expensive to generate, and there's not even a space station, so there's no secondary purpose or benefit to this track. I can conclusively say, for certain, Rainbow Road for the 3DS is the worst map for the economy in all of Mario Kart. But are Mario Kart maps truly in total better or worse for the economy? Bad! Obviously they are bad! Do you have any idea how many civilian casualties this sport causes? What they do provide, though, is an experience. A couple of friends having a laugh, playing all together to unwind after a rough week, getting in fistfights over a blue shell and then laughing it off together and competing again next round. Is it so wrong to sacrifice a little money for this? Is it so wrong to dream? I don't think so. But first we should kill Wario, just to be sure. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you liked it. I stream on Twitch, so that's fun. I've got a Discord, so join that, or follow me on Twitter to stay updated on video progress. Links are all in the description. I read and reply to pretty much every comment, no matter how many hundreds or thousands I get per video, so feel free to ask questions about the track scoring and I'll answer. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to plant a bomb in a place that rhymes with Wario's front porch, aka Nintendo HQ. That is a joke for legal reasons. I am joking. Please don't sue me, Nintendo.